So, a few months ago, I noticed my smart home system was acting weird. Nothing crazy at first, just lights flickering on and off at random times, or my thermostat cranking up to sauna levels in the middle of the night. Something you'd think would never happen with a top-of-the-line setup wired for efficiency. I'm a bit of a tech geek, okay? Maybe a lot of a tech geek, so I work from home and rely on my system to keep things running smoothly. When my smart lights started throwing impromptu disco parties at 3 a.m., I knew I had to investigate. Now, I've got this whole setup: smart bulbs, a smart thermostat, security cameras, even a smart fridge that texts me when I'm low on milk. It's all connected through a secure hub, and I'm pretty obsessive about keeping it locked down. I mean, I've got two-factor authentication, encrypted passwords, the works. So, when my living room lights started blinking like they were auditioning for a sci-fi movie, I figured it wasn't just a glitch. Something was off. I started by checking the app logs on my phone. Sure enough, there were commands being sent to my devices that I didn't initiate. Weirdest part, they were happening at odd hours, like the AM, or for PM when I was out grabbing coffee. I'm not one to jump to conclusions, but my gut was telling me this wasn't a software bug. I live in a pretty tight-knit suburb, the kind with a homeowners association that's more like a secret society than a neighborhood watch. And by secret society, I mean there's this one guy, let's call him Dave, who thinks he's the king of the cul-de-sac. Dave's the type who'll leave a passive-aggressive note on your car if you park an inch over his imaginary line. Real control freak vibes. We've had our run-ins before, mostly because I don't play along with his rules. Like, no, Dave, I'm not painting my mailbox neon yellow just because you think it pops. So, yeah, I wouldn't put it past him to mess with my setup if he thought he could get away with it. Anyway, I decided to dig deeper. I logged into my router's admin panel because, you know, I'm that guy who actually changes the default password and check the connected devices. There was an unfamiliar IP address pinging my network. Not one of my devices, not my phone, not my laptop, nothing. It was like finding a stranger's footprint in your backyard. Creepy. I set up a packet sniffer to monitor the traffic for the non-techies out there. That's basically a tool that lets you spy on what's going in and out of your network. And holy cow, the data was wild. Someone was sending commands to my smart home hub, trying to control my lights, thermostat, even my garage door. The timestamps matched the weird activity perfectly. Now, I could have just blocked the IP and called it a day, but where's the fun in that? I wanted to know who was behind this, so I traced the IP address. It wasn't hard. Most routers have a basic interface that shows you where traffic's coming from. The IP was linked to a device in my neighborhood, specifically from the direction of Dave's house. Big surprise, right? I didn't have proof it was him yet, but the pieces were coming together. I mean, who else would have the motive and just enough tech know-how to think they could hack my system without getting caught? To confirm, I did some old-school detective work. I took a walk around the neighborhood, pretending to check my mailbox, and scoped out Dave's place. His house is one of those over-the-top setups. Think Christmas lights in July and a lawn so perfect it looks like it was mowed with a ruler. But what caught my eye was a new Wi-Fi extender sitting on his porch, suspiciously pointed toward my house. I'm no expert in espionage, but that thing was practically screaming, I'm up to no good. I checked the Wi-Fi networks on my phone, and sure enough, there was a new network with a generic name like extender_123 broadcasting from his direction. Bingo. At this point, I was torn. I could have called my internet provider, reported a potential security breach, or even knocked on Dave's door and confronted him. But let's be real, confronting Dave is like arguing with a brick wall. That sends you whole violation letters. Instead, I decided to have a little fun. If he wanted to play hacker, I'd show him what a real tech nerd can do. I set up a honeypot of fake network that looks like my real one, but is basically a trap for wannabe hackers. I made it super tempting, with a weak password and fake device names like smart_TV_admin and security_CAM_control. Then I waited. Sure enough, within a day, the same IP address was poking around my honeypot. I could see every move they made trying to log in, sending test commands, the works. It was like watching a mouse sniff around a trap before going for the cheese. I let them think they were in, giving them access to a fake smart home dashboard I'd whipped up. It was all dummy data, fake thermostat settings, fake camera feeds, even a fake smart sprinkler that I claimed was watering my lawn at 2 a.m. Meanwhile, I was logging every single thing they did, building a nice little evidence file. Here's where it gets good. I decided to mess with them. I programmed the fake dashboard to send random notifications to their device. Picture this, Dave's sitting there, thinking he's controlling my house. And suddenly he gets a pop-up saying, "Smart fridge alert, you're out of kale," or "Sprinkler system activated, enjoy your midnight shower." I even threw in a fake security alarm triggered message that claimed the police were on their way. Childish, maybe, satisfying, oh, absolutely. About 3 days later, I noticed a change. The unauthorized ping stopped completely. I checked the neighborhood Facebook group because of course we have one of those, and there's Dave, posting a rant about how his smart home system was going haywire. Apparently, his own lights were flickering, his thermostat was possessed, and he was getting notifications about a fridge he didn't even own. He was losing it, blaming his internet provider, the HOA, even solar flares. I'm just sitting there, sipping my coffee, trying not to laugh out loud. His nephew, who fancies himself a tech genius, had apparently set up the Wi-Fi extender to borrow my signal. Big mistake. I could have stopped there, but I was having too much fun. I tweaked the honeypot to simulate a system overload warning, making it look like his meddling was about to crash his own network. I sent one last fake notification, warning, unauthorized access detected. Network reset in 3, 2, 1. Then I temporarily blocked his IP from my real network just to seal the deal. The next day, I saw a technician's van parked at Dave's house. Word on the street was that his nephew had botched the setup so badly that they had to factory reset their entire router. Ouch. Eventually, the Wi-Fi extender disappeared from Dave's porch. No apology, no home meeting, just silence. I didn't need to report him. His own paranoia and incompetence did the job for me. I still have the logs, the screenshots, even a little video I took of that shady extender, just in case Dave gets any bright ideas again. Sometimes, karma doesn't need a lawsuit, just a well-placed honeypot and a few fake notifications to make someone think twice. Now, let me break this down for you, because I know some of you are probably wondering how this all works. Smart home systems are awesome, but they're only as secure as you make them. If you're running a setup like mine, you've got to keep your network locked down. Use strong passwords, enable encryption, and check your router logs regularly. Most routers have a web interface where you can see what's connected. If you spot something fishy, don't just ignore it, dig in. Tools like packet sniffers or network monitors aren't hard to use, and there are free ones online that even a beginner can figure out. I'm not saying you need to go full CSI, but a little vigilance goes a long way. And let's talk about neighbors like Dave. We've all got one, right? The person who thinks they're above the rules, who'll borrow your Wi-Fi or, in my case, try to hijack your smart home. The trick is not to get mad, get creative. Confrontation might feel good in the moment, but watching someone trip over their own ego is way more satisfying. I mean, imagine Dave's face when he got that police dispatch notification. I wish I'd had a camera on him. For those of you who want to get technical, here's how I set up the honeypot. I used an old Raspberry Pi I had lying around because, yes, I'm that kind of nerd. I installed a lightweight server software that mimics a smart home hub. You can find tutorials online for this. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Then, I created a fake Wi-Fi network with an intentionally weak password, something like 12,345,678, to lure in the culprit. Once they connected, I routed their traffic through a virtual sandbox. So they thought they were controlling my devices, but they were just playing in my digital playground. The fake dashboard was the cherry on top. I built it using some basic HTML and JavaScript. Again, stuff you can learn from a quick Google search. The key is to make it look legit enough to fool an amateur, but not so complex that it takes you hours to set up. The best part? This whole thing took me maybe 2 evenings to figure out. I didn't need to be a cybersecurity expert, just curious and stubborn enough to not let Dave win. If you're dealing with a similar situation, start small. Check your network, look for anything out of place, and don't be afraid to experiment. Just, don't do anything illegal. I kept everything on my side of the fence, legally speaking. Messing with someone's network without permission is a gray area, so always cover your bases. Looking back, the whole thing was like a game of cat and mouse, and I got to be the cat. Dave probably still thinks his nephew just screwed up the Wi-Fi, and I'm okay with that. The neighborhood's been quiet since, and my smart home is back to normal. No more midnight light shows or thermostat tantrums. I even got a little bonus. The whole board sent out a vague email about respecting property boundaries, which I'm pretty sure was aimed at Dave. Gotta love it when the universe handles the paperwork for you. So, what's the moral of the story? Don't mess with a tech nerd smart home. And if you're the one dealing with a nosy neighbor, don't just get mad, get even the smart way. Keep your system secure, stay one step ahead, and maybe, just maybe, let karma do the rest. I've got my logs backed up, my network locked down, and a story I'll be telling at barbecues for years. What about you? Got any neighbor horror stories? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear how you've dealt with your own Dave. And if you want more tips on securing your smart home, let me know. I might just make another video about it.